Hey, Clearview Church. If we haven't met, my name's Joash Thomas, and I serve as International Justice Mission Canada's National Director of Mobilization and Advocacy. And thanks for having me come and serve your church by guest teaching this Sunday. You know, in my sermon, I talked about Luke chapter 4, verses 14 to 21. But let me read verse 18 again for us, and feel free to read this with me. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord," this is Jesus saying this, "the Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." You know, one of the things that we looked at in this sermon is that seeking justice is actually a work of the Holy Spirit. And if we have the Holy Spirit in us, we will feel compelled to seek justice, because the Holy Spirit in us is the one who draws us to the Holy Spirit at work in the world. And I shared a few examples of what we're seeing at IJM, so feel free to listen to the sermon again. But something I want to hone in on is the application of the sermon, right? So if seeking justice is a work of the Holy Spirit, then what does this mean for us as Christians who have the Spirit of God in us, who have the same Spirit that Jesus had when he was declaring these things? Well, I want to leave us with 3 application items. So pray, give, and advocate. Pray, give, and advocate. Pray. Ask God how the Spirit is leading you to join the Spirit at work in the world, to renew all things and to make all things new by seeking justice. So definitely pray and spend a lot of time in prayer and discernment. But don't just pray. Move on from there, because if we're praying prayer Jesus's way, it will cost us something. So pray and then give. Give to your local church. Your church is engaged in so many justice ministries. You have a justice team at church, and you have so many justice partners. But don't just pray, don't just give, also advocate. Raise your voice. God has given you a voice. God has given these children in the Philippines who are being sexually exploited online a voice too, but their voices are suppressed. The voices of the marginalized often tend to be suppressed in the broken world that we live in. But we, the church, have a prophetic voice, and we have a role to play. So use your voice and tell your friends, tell your neighbors about how God is at work around the world through his church, through organizations like IJM, through churches like Clearview Church. And I hope you consider applying these 3 things in your life this week. May the Holy Spirit lead you into next steps, into seeking justice with him this week. Thanks again for having me.